Right, okay. So, question that plagues everybody. Do you get what you pay for? And the reason I'm doing a video on this is because these days I don't believe you do. So I've had a few things recently that I've either bought or looked at, and I do definitely think that these days that old saying, you get what you pay for, is definitely not true. So I'll tell you a little story first. So recently we bought a new TV for the bedroom. Now the reason for that was because I was doing the gaming room. It made sense to move the smaller TV we had in there onto my desk. Connor already had his TV, because obviously on a gaming desk you don't want a massive TV. And also the other issue was that I was moving my PlayStation 4 from the bedroom into here. So obviously we now needed a smart TV in the bedroom because, we want to watch things like Netflix or Amazon Prime, etc. So we got a smart TV in there. And in the front room, we've got a nice one. So it didn't have to be brilliant. Just had to be really as good as the one we had before. Maybe a bit bigger. And also smart TV, unlike the one that was in there. So, got a smart TV. Now, here's the interesting thing. I bought a 32-inch, which only just fits into the unit that it's in there. The TV we had in there before, I think, was a 22, maybe a 24-inch. Now, the reason for this was because if you look through Argos, PC World, all these different places you can buy TVs from, they charge you more for the smaller TVs. And the only thing I can put that down to is because they know that most gamers use between certain sizes. That's the only thing I can put it down to, because the price is dearer. So it actually worked out cheaper to buy a 32-inch. So that's what I've done. And it just fits. Like I say, I measured it all up. It just fits. Now, here's the thing. The price of that was £150. Whereas I would have paid 170, 180 for something that's 6 inches smaller. Some cases 8 inches smaller. I mean, that's ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. And it was exactly the same style of TV. Now, the only difference, like I say, was it was smaller. Now, here's the other thing, right? In my front room, I've got an LG 4K 43-inch TV. Now, I won't go into prices on that, but it wasn't cheap, as you can imagine. And before I had that, I had a normal Samsung flat screen. Now, in both cases, the remotes have been rubbish. They just don't work very well. In fact, actually, on my gaming desk, I've got a Samsung, and it's the same story with that. The TV remotes are terrible. They don't ever seem to do what you want them to do. You end up pushing the buttons, and by the time you're done, you've got the remote so close to it that you could have just pushed the button anyway. So they're rubbish, to be honest. The other thing is with the Samsungs, I noticed, not so much the LG, but definitely the Samsungs, when you turn them on, there's always a bit of lag. It reminds you of the old sort of TVs from the 70s and the 80s, where you had to let them warm up first before you could do anything with them. It's a bit like that. You'll push the channel change and you'll wait a minute or so before it actually changes. So this is where part of my story is coming from. Do you get what you pay for? Because the thing is, this new TV I bought is a Bush. Not a massively great name. When you look in terms of quality, it's probably classed as one of the lower ones. Yet the remote on it is brilliant. It's got clicky buttons as well, which means that when you're pushing it, it's pushing. Whereas most remotes these days, they're the rubber buttons. So when it doesn't change over, it's like, well, is it actually picking up on pushing it? With this Bush TV, I can tell because it clicks when you push it. They are rubbery type buttons, but there's a clicker underneath. So when you're pushing it, that it's working. And it changes straight away, every time. No lag. So this is what I'm saying. Are you paying for what you get? Because I don't think you are. Samsungs and LGs are much more expensive than Bushes, yet this Bush seems to work perfectly for what it's for. I can't say the same about other brands. Now, here's the other thing, right? you pay out for makes, you know, or brands, should we say. And like I say, the old saying, you get what you pay for. Well, the thing is, a lot of this stuff is made in China. And you can buy stuff that's not branded, that's Chinese, that's just as good. Because let's be honest, it's made in the same places. And so this is the thing for me. I mean, I've only really fell into this in the last year or so. I suddenly realised, like, all this stuff's all coming from China. I could be paying a lot less for this. And I do these days. I go direct from China now because you can get these things much cheaper. Now, a few examples, right? There's a few examples. Now, don't get me wrong, these aren't the best things you've ever seen, but for the price. So you've all probably seen the video I did on this little device here. So it's a 400-in-1 handheld console. Now, it's not an IPS screen, it's only a TFT, but it's got 400 games on it. And yes, you could argue the plastic's not great quality, but I paid £7 for this. £7. And that was including the postage from China. Where can you get something like this in the UK that's as good quality or even better for that price? You can't. In fact, you'd pay more and it would be just as bad. So there's one example. Then we've got this one, the PowerKiddy V90. Now, I've done a video on this too. And if our memory serves me right, £24 I think this one cost me. And this one, I can't for the life of me remember how many games are on it, but there are a lot. There's a lot of games on it. I think it might be 900, you know, thinking about it. But again, you know, just over £20. You know, this is the point. Like, you know, again, don't get me wrong, it's not the best quality, but this has got an IPS screen in it. Both of these devices have got rechargeable batteries. Now, if you go on Amazon, you'll pay probably double the price that I paid for this. And it's exactly the same. So this is what I'm saying. And then we've got the Retroid Pocket 2. Now, obviously, you've seen videos of this. I've done a few on this. Now, this one was a bit dearer. This one was around £80. Now, for good reason, though. I mean, it's got a huge IPS screen in it. The build quality is brilliant. And it pretty much runs every type of emulator you can think of. I'd argue that there's a problem with the PS1 BIOS coding on this. I don't seem to be able to get that to work, but other than that, everything else works fine on it, and it all runs on an Android system. So there's a lot of reasons why this is worth what it is. Now, this is a thing, right? £80, and I can tell you the quality on this is as good as what you'd find on, you know, a Game Boy or whatever. Well, in fact, better, because it's running better speeds, it runs more things, you know. So this is the point. You're paying the price that you would have paid probably for, say, back in the day, a Game Boy Advance or whatever, and it does a lot more. So again, I ask you that question. Do you get what you pay for? I would argue you don't. Not these days. In fact, now, I think when you go for brands, you're actually getting a worse quality, because these companies are bigger and they need to make more money. They've got more employees, they've got more overheads. So as a result, they tend to make things cheaper, and they do, and you can see it these days. Good example, if you look at, say, things like Disney. If you look at their Star Wars figures, look at the quality of them, and I've done a video on that too. They're terrible. They are really cheap, really cheap. Why is this? Because they're a huge company and they've got a lot of employees, they've got a lot of overheads, so they make things cheaper to make more money. So this is the thing. Are we past the days where you buy a brand now? I think we are, because I'll be honest with you, I've bought things that are not branded and they're just as good or better. I'm going to show you one more example before I wrap this video up. Let's just get this down. Right, so this is a Be Excellent headphone set. Now, I've done a review on a set of these I bought before. We've had, between me, Connor and Kyle, we've had a few sets of these. Not because they're rubbish, because they're not. But because in the early days, the cording they now use like a braided cord now. They used to use the rubber ones, and they used to come away either here or on the headphone jack. Now, that's no different to more expensive brands. Same thing happens with them. Now, you might notice that these are blue and black. The ones I had that I did the video on were camos. I actually broke them, but that wasn't because of them being rubbish. That was my stupid fault. I tripped over the wire and broke them. So I've recently bought another set. Now, these ones, admittedly, I got these in a Black Friday sale, and I picked these up for £14. They were originally £24. Now, if I show you, you got your little control device there with your volume wheel on the front and your mic on and off on the side. You also get an adapter, so should you have the old PCs where you've got to have the different connections instead of just one jack, it comes with that. The other thing is, these side bits all light up. Now, originally, when I bought my first set, I had to buy a USB extender lead for this so that it could reach the USB because it was a lot shorter. Now you get one of these with it. So they listen to customers and they've put the extender leads in there. Now, I can actually say with the utmost certainty that these are just as good as the lower end Turtle Beach. Is it Turtle Beach that you get? You know what headphones I mean. Anyway, the lower end of them you'll probably pay about £40. So these on the most expensive are £16 cheaper. And I would argue the build quality is better, because I know people who have got the Turtle Beach and they tell me that they snap really easy. I've never had that happen with these. And of course, the other reason why people went mad over them was because when you're playing things like Call of Duty, you can hear people running in from the left or the right behind you, etc. You get all of that with these. You can still hear it. So again, I ask you this question. Do you get what you pay for? Like I say, I'll wait to see your comments. Let me know what you think. But from my own opinion and what I've experienced, especially in the last couple of years, I would say these days you don't get what you pay for. Going for brands is not the way forwards, especially these days. In fact, if you go with brands, I find that the quality you get is actually less if you're paying the same price. If you've got a choice between an LG, say, for 150 and a Bush at 150, buy the Bush, it will be better, guaranteed. So anyway, that's my opinion. And really, I've done this video just to see what anyone else thinks, because I'm curious to know, because I've noticed this, like I say, over the last couple of years, the quality on these top-end brands is really slipping. And, it can't be just me that's noticing this. Surely other people out there have bought things and realised this. So, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Tell me, what experiences you've had that may have led you to believe this or led you to believe the opposite. I'm interested because, like I say, I do a lot of shopping now. I buy a lot of stuff from China. I actually buy it from AliExpress because you don't pay the overheads. You can find, in a lot of cases, the same stuff from there as you will find on Amazon, but you're paying half, sometimes less than half the price. So, yeah, just let me know what you think, guys, in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. And hit the notification bell so that you're made aware of all our future videos and live streams. And until next time, take care, stay safe, Nerdy Geezer out.